All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm Trevor Horn. Last segment here in BVarsity Live. Obviously, like I said, Zach is on his way to Las Cruces for the Cal State Bakersfield game at New Mexico State. Obviously, a big whack tilt for the runners tonight. But we're going to continue talking about high school basketball. We've got Andy Bogard out of the Fresno Bee. Andy, we've talked pretty extensively about D1. Let's jump into boys D2 really quickly. Obviously, Ridgeview 26-1. Obviously, the likely number one seed in D2, Lemoore, that lost to Hanford the other night, probably hurts them a little bit. And then San Joaquin Memorial, another team right there. You said you've seen Lemoore and San Joaquin Memorial. Can you give us a little insight on those two teams?
Well, Lemoore is, even though that's a tough go anytime they play Hanford, but a deep team that I was really impressed. I saw them earlier in the year. They beat Roosevelt. And Lemoore's a big guy, and Bryson Williams was very good that night for Roosevelt. But Lemoore has a 6'8" post player named Jalen English who outplayed Williams in that game. And then what Lemoore has, I really like, Trevor. You know, they've had those really good football teams the last 2 years.
Right, kind of like Hanford.
Yeah. They've had three players in particular: Reggie Davis, Roger Wilson, and Alan Perryman. From those football players that are, all about 6-foot guards, very good with their hand defensively. They really cause a lot of problems. So you combine those guys, great athletes, great defenders, who can pick you without fouling you, and combining in combination with English. So it's a good looking team, and they're confident that they're looking forward to a Ridgeview game in Selland.
Right.
But so that could be that's a matchup. We always kind of look forward to a few games if they come to fruition. That's a game I want to see, the more Ridgeview, and then the other game that I know you want to get to is the Clovis West Addison girls. Just this kind of point. There's always games that are set up where their plays out that way, but I hope they do. Those are the two that I'm really looking forward to. And Memorial, well, I'll put it this way. I saw them play Bullard a couple weeks ago. Now we're talking boys, okay? And saw them play Bullard, and okay, Memorial has good-looking sophomore London Taylor. He's probably one of the best sophomores in the state. But okay, all right, very small Bullard, very small. I left the gym. Probably an unfair comparison, but those Tony Amundsen teams at Bullard, a few years ago, they're really, really good, Trevor. They and I walked out of that game a week ago, having seen Bullard Memorial, thinking to myself, the good Bullard teams beat both of those teams by 30 or 40 points. So they're just okay. they're limited too, especially that neither one has anything remotely close to a true post player.
Right. But in your estimation, obviously Ridgeview, the number one seed tomorrow, they're undefeated against section opponents. Be it they didn't have as tough as a schedule as other teams, but it's a very good, talented team led by Isaiah Martin, Jordan Roberts, Justin McCall, Pardeep Dawn. But obviously, I don't know if you've seen them or not. Obviously, I've seen quite a bit of them, probably 8 to 10 games already this year because they played so many in-town tournaments. But when you look at that team, is there really any justification in not putting them in the one seed tomorrow?
Oh no, there's a couple no doubters, and especially when you go to D2 boys and D1 girls. So but when they pulled that double and they beat Centennial, that this is in early January on the road. They go to Central and won by 21.
Yeah.
That was
that was an absolutely amazing performance.
That was the screamer. Because Central has three very, very good players. We're talking about Clovis North. Fact is, a week ago, they're down by 11 to Central midway fourth quarter. The only reason North wins that game is Central misses 3 free throws in the last minute. They make one of them, they win the game.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about North and the number one seed, and then Central wins the thing outright. That's a good looking Central team.
Yep.
It really is. They have 3 outstanding players, and that team got their ears boxed at home by Ridgeview. So that's all I had to see. Have I seen them in person? No. Right. But when I see a team go on the road and dominate, in a pretty hostile environment. They get a lot of people there, a lot of fans at Central. Yeah. So that was that's all I had to see regarding Ridgeview.
And I saw a lot of highlights from that Central game because I was up there, and that was a very dominating performance. I was at that Centennial game, and that was a very, very good game. And it's tough for them to come off those two games, get 2 days off, and then have to play Roosevelt out of Eastvale, and that's the only loss of the season for the Wolfpack. A day before league started. Really quickly go into it. D3, it looks like Roosevelt and West are the two teams jockeying for that one position. D3, obviously Emmanuel boys, the 1 seed and the overall favorite, probably the biggest lock other than Clovis West girls. And then Kern Valley may be the 1 seed in D5. Let's go to D1 girls. This is something I'm very interested about. Obviously, Garces is the top team from Kern County. But tell me about, you had a story last week about Clovis West. We got about 5 minutes left. If you can go about 2 minutes on Clovis West, do me a favor.
Well, all main players except one, Lindy and Munster, are back, in addition to a good freshman class that went unbeaten in 7th and 8th graders. They won by 48 points a game. The track, I think they're about 107 and like 3 under Craig Campbell in 11 years in the track. So it's they don't have a true post player, Trevor, but they're very deep. They've played together since 4th grade. Campbell is about as thorough as it gets. I asked him, for example, 2 weeks ago, I said, how many times have you seen Edison? 8 times. He's very thorough. But it's a good-looking team. It's his best 3-point shooting team, and he's had a lot of good 3-point shooting teams. And that includes his daughter, Maddie Campbell, who's only a freshman. So it's a real good-looking team. I saw Edison last night. This is a game they've been pointing to since last year when Clovis West beat him by 12 in Selland. It was a 5-point game going into the 4th quarter. And I saw Edison, Rajane Wade, 6'2" post, going to UNLV, Liz Randall's 4-year point guard, all kinds of talent. But it comes down to one thing. Can they beat the Trap? Can they beat Clovis West Trap? They had 28 turnovers against Clovis West last year in the championship. And Bill Engel knows it, the Edison coach. I mean, Rajane Wade, great, but if you can't get the ball past half court, you can't get it down to your post player.
Right.
So that's what it's going to come down to. And it's their signature thing. They have it down pat, and it's hard to beat it. In fact, no one in the Valley beat it. So if they can beat that, do a little better beating the Trap, then they'll have a chance. I can't. Let's see. Edison would get West if it goes. West gets the 3. I don't know. Where do you see West? I mean Garces. I'm sorry. Since they got West, I've had them ranked, number 3 ever since West got back on that team. They go unbeaten in league. I had no trouble with that.
I don't either. I think it's going to be hard. I mean, obviously, they lost at home to Edison last year in the semifinals, didn't make it to the finals, so that you saw the Edison-Clovis West finals last year. I think it's a very good team. They have a very good freshman that can shoot the ball. That's really helped out. And when you put C.J. West into a lineup, basically what it does is, nobody else is over 5'6", really, in that team, and she's 6'3", and she is a very smart basketball player. She has that ability to kind of, if she gets triple teamed, she knows where to dish it out to, because obviously what happens, Andy, when somebody's triple teamed? 2 players are open. And if one of those 2 players can shoot the ball, which Garces still can, they're always going to be in games. The Cruz sisters, they play very good defense, very tenacious. They can steal the ball away from you without fouling, like you said, is very important. Even in the girls' side, especially I think more so in the girls' side than it is on the boys' side, because you see that more often. So I think Garces is a very good team. It's unfortunate that CJ did not play in the first month of the season. Because it would have been kind of nice to see what they could do against that stacked schedule that previous coach, Todd Demison, had put together. But, it is what it is, and it'll be really interesting to see what can happen over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, there's the difference of bringing coaches' rankings atop the equation as opposed to the old system where they didn't have much input. Because coaches are going to recognize that CJ wasn't there, that was not a factor, that was not a consideration at all until a couple of years ago. So that changes the whole game. So
yeah, that is a huge consideration there to keep the coaches' input. But you got to hope that the coaches are doing their homework too, and that's.
I find you mentioned bias a little while ago, Trevor, and I know we have to wrap it up here. I find in general coaches are very fair.
Okay.
That I just don't see that, but I haven't seen that much phoniness among coaches.
Okay.
I think it's very rare.
Sure. Works for me. Andy, appreciate the last half hour with you. Always do. Look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks at Selland Arena, buddy. I know we got a busy couple weeks, so be well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Well, you be well. I hope your back is better.
I'm getting there. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, Trevor.
All right, guys. We got about a minute left. Let's run through some things. Obviously, wrestling, divisional tournaments coming up. Yosemite division is up at Clovis High. Zach will be up there. The Sequoia division is out at Shafter. I know I've got a list here for you. So we've got a bunch of names. Zach will be up there for you. And then soccer playoffs are now in the quarterfinals starting tonight. We have 13 boys quarterfinals with Kern County teams in it. We have Steve Lynch out at number 6 Golden Valley, at number 3 Liberty. That starts at 6 o'clock, so he'll be out there tonight. We'll have that online later tonight, and obviously in your print edition, which I hope you guys are still picking up every day. So we have that going on. Girls quarterfinals tomorrow, sending Steve Lynch out to Taft as the Wildcats will host South, who had an upset last night in the first round. Taft obviously led by senior Bethany Fitzsimmons, who is the all-time single-season scorer in Central Section history, as she looks to continue her senior year before she heads out to Cal State Northridge. That's all we have for you. Zach and I will be right back here for you, so appreciate you guys tuning in. BVarsity Nightly, thanks to John Farron, our director. Zach, hope you guys you're doing well. See you guys next week.
Deep down the left side,